Yes, sir. We are back. Welcome to another episode of On the Mark Wrestling Podcast. I'm your boy Kayode, joined by none other than Streaming Joe. Joe,
Yo,
what's up, baby?
what's good? Yeet.
Yeah. You now you're a fan.
I've been converted.
You've been converted, man. As you can see, guys. Two big things have happened. Joel has now been converted to a Yeet fan, and Lewis himself, the administrator, is not in the building. We send our love to Lewis. We'll see him hopefully next week for the big 80, the 80th show here at On the Mark Wrestling Podcast. But here, listen, we got to get to some stuff, man. The world of wrestling is like The Rock says. I'm always gonna say this, man. Like The Rock says, wrestling is cool again. You got stuff happening all over the place. TNA had their big pay-per-view, Genesis, and you had something pretty special happen. You had Cora Jade show up. You had Ashanti the Adonis, who I don't know many people care about him, but he showed up. This partnership seems to be, there seems to be something happening with this partnership. But before we get into the meat and potatoes of the show, though, Joel, did you see any clips of the Tessa Blanchard and Jordynne Grace match or hear anything that happened? Apparently,
I did not.
Tessa got booed.
I did hear about this.
She got booed. People were calling her a racist.
Justified.
Justified. The Hogan treatment.
Yeah, exactly.
She got the Hogan treatment, and people, a lot of people were like, "Listen, was that necessary?" I mean, it didn't take much away from the match, but it definitely kind of was like this weird vibe going on. Like, does Tessa really belong here? Should we be accepting her so openly? She's legit back after some time away. I heard the match was great. I saw clips. It looked decent.
Yeah,
and a lot of people were saying this was Jordynne's swan song. This was her end. This was it. She's on her way to WWE. Do you have any feelings about Tessa Blanchard? Do you know much about her? Like, I've heard and seen, clips of people talking about what she did and what she said, but where are you with that, man? Like, do we care?
Yeah, it's an interesting one because like she's really good in the ring.
Right.
I could not deny her in-ring ability. Like, and that's the sucky part about it because she's like, honestly, every time I've heard about her, I've always like, she's not worth the headache, because of all the things we've heard backstage. She's not only like racist things. I've heard she's a bully. I've heard all types of things. But then that she gets in that ring and you're like, oh shit, she could go. She's a natural. I mean, she is a second generation wrestler, so it's in her blood. So I mean, it's an interesting one because TNA is in the news right now for a lot of positive things. We got this partnership with NXT. A lot of fans are getting behind TNA, as like being the real, almost you could say the real alternative to the big two now. Because you got AEW is backed by a billionaire, WWE is backed by billionaires, so TNA is kind of that like fun little like offshoot, almost an indie, but basically the third biggest promotion in North America, at least. So it's like you have all this positivity, and then you bring in Tessa Blanchard, who has a negative connotation with that name. And I feel like it could be solved pretty easily, if she just put out a public statement saying that she's learned from her mistakes, or apologized and did all that. I'm sure fans will eventually let it go. It might follow her for a bit, but if she keeps showing up in that ring and doing what she needs to do, and if she could actually prove that she's learned from her mistakes, then, everyone deserves a second chance as long as they haven't done some heinous shit.
Right. And I agree with you. Like, if she puts out something, which I don't know if she did or not, maybe she has.
I don't think so. And I think that's the big issue.
If she did something like that, maybe the fans can be like, listen, we can get with this. And she's a mega talent. She's very good in the ring. She knows what she's doing. She's, she's box office in some ways. Like, she could be huge. But we'll see. I wanted to ask you because I was watching and listening to some clips on Instagram, and I'm like, damn, they're booing the hell out of her. And then I forgot. I was like, oh, she's Hogan. She's Hogan.
Yeah, shout out to wrestling fans in 2025 though. Like wrestling fans are not putting up with any bullshit. So props to the wrestling fans.
Yeah,
out
man.
there.
Let's we gotta give it up.
Yeah.
We'll give it up. Because for a while
it was normal. it was storyline normal. It was all types of, especially in the Vince McMahon world where he was wearing do-rags and dropping N-bombs and all that on TV.
Yo, I was watching those Hogan. I mean those Vince clips.
Yo, do-rag like, Vince.
Do-rag Vince.
ECW champ, do-rag Vince. That was a crazy time.
My man was straight disrespectful with it. And I didn't even realize. It's so crazy, Joel, being adults now. And you watch that and you're like, damn, I was cheering for this? Like, I bought tickets for this. Like, I was supporting this for a long time.
Oh man!
Like you forget about that stuff, man.
There was some dark times, man.
Some dark times, man. Some dark times. But WWE doesn't seem to have any dark times right now. They're on fire right now, and we got Saturday night's main event coming up this Saturday.
Yeah.
So Joel, let's go through this card, man. WWE is doing the gimmick of 5 matches again. I have a real problem with the 5-match card, to tell you the truth, because 5 matches, there's going to be at least 3.5 of them where I'm like, the matches was just all right. You might get that one, maybe two with WWE doing this 5-match card. And like you said before, a few episodes back, AEW, yes, they may have 10 matches, but out of those 10, you're probably going to get 7-8 bangers. Easy. So we got, I'm going to save the best for last. I'm going to save the championship match for last because I want to hear what you got to say about that. But we got Braun Breaker versus Sheamus, right? Okay. For the Intercontinental Championship.
That could be a banger.
That could be a banger. I'm big on Braun right now. Not so. I kind of want to see Sheamus go away. I'm sorry. I'm kind of over him. He's ran this. I don't want him see him chasing a title right now.
Yeah.
Right. Sheamus is not that guy anymore. Sheamus should be getting guys over. So what I'm hoping in this match is that's exactly what's going to happen. He's going to get Braun a big rub. Braun's going to have a big win come Saturday night's main event on a big platform.
Yeah.
And solidifies himself as a legit champion, like badass champion.
Yeah, I gotta agree with you there. I think, right? I think this is the perfect place to showcase a Braun Breaker. I said it a couple episodes ago, but I was very disappointed that Braun wasn't on that first Raw on Netflix. Yeah, because I feel like he is the type of guy to if a casual's watching and you see him do that super speed running across the ropes, 23 miles an hour, whatever they clocked him at.
Yeah, man.
And that's gonna make me want to see what he does next week. He has that. I don't want to compare him to Goldberg, but he has that Goldberg effect a little bit, where it's like,
just more talented.
Yeah, the intensity. It's the intensity.
Yeah.
When Goldberg was on his crazy streak in WCW, everyone tuned in every week, even though we knew he was going to win, just because we wanted to see how hard he was going to hit that spear. We wanted to see how hard he was going to hit that jackhammer. He was going to rock his opponent, probably unsafely,
yeah, right.
as Bret Hart would say.
Yes.
But it was great entertainment, great TV, and I think that's what we see with Braun Breaker, obviously with a safer version. But this is a perfect showcase for him. Sheamus, like you said, it's weird because you could tell they kind of don't have anything for him. Like he's kind of just there, and like his story now is that he's trying to get this belt that he's never had before.
And he should never hold it. He should never touch it.
At this point, it's too late, I feel like, in your career. It doesn't make sense. And like, unless you do a quick hot potato, but we can't really do that. Braun already did that with Jay. Mm-hmm. So I think this needs to be a dominant, but banger type match, but dominant on Braun's side. And just show the casual fans who are tuning in to NBC on a Saturday, like, oh, who's this Braun Breaker guy? There you go.
Well, Joel, my bad. I messed up here. 1, 2, 3. There's 4 matches.
Nah.
With one being the Cody Rhodes and Kevin Owens Royal Rumble contract signing.
They're pushing it.
They're pushing it. Listen, bro, $200 for this seat. You giving me 4 matches? This show's going to last maybe 2 hours. I'm going to say this. They're going to clock this show at 2 hours.
Yeah. I think it has to be 2 hours, right? Because it's NBC.
Exactly. Now, I'm digging everything Kevin Owens is doing right now.
Same.
I love that he's carrying the greatest championship of all time. Of all time, baby.
I don't know about that one, but okay.
The Winged Eagle Championship. Probably the most decorated of all the titles that are out. I mean, come on, Joel. You gotta say that's not easily the most decorated title that was in existence aside from like NWA and the
yeah, I'll give it to you in like WWE. Yeah, I'm a big fan of the Big Gold. Just because I feel like it just looks like a world title, right? Like
me too.
In any sport, you bring that title out, it just looks like gold, diamond, rubies all over it. It's beautiful.
That's my second best favorite. That's my second favorite.
And then I would say I'm an Attitude Era.
The Giant Eagle, the Giant Eagle belt,
the Big Eagle, yeah. Just because I grew up watching it. The Wing Eagle, it was a little before my time, so I was like,
understandable. Listen. But that's my title, and I love the fact that Kevin Owens is carrying that around.
I agree,
and and he's got this like sinister demeanor now. It's working, and to be honest, I don't care about anything Cody's doing right now, except I'm kind of locked in with this Kevin Owens. I'm kind of rooting for him, but I know he's not going to win. Right? They're not. Cody's not dropping that title, but I'm kind of here for it. I'm liking what they're doing. How about you?
Yeah, man, I gotta agree. We already know Cody was inducted to the Hater Club last week.
He was inducted.
So we know how the haters in the Hater Club feel about Cody Rhodes, but
damn.
But I gotta agree with you, man. It's funny because I was actually talking about this with somebody, and I was bringing up how Kevin Owens legit has the best storyline like of a character ever. Like he has the dream fan scenario of becoming a wrestler, and then first of all you get to fight Stone Cold Steve Austin at WrestleMania.
Exactly.
Wait, actually let's take it back even further. You debut on NXT, you attack your best friend.
Oh yeah.
You win the championship very soon after that. You then debut on the main roster with a crazy feud with John Cena right off the bat. Like this guy has had the most incredible. I can't wait till he's the main person in a 2K game because his storyline is awesome. He's done like everything. He main events WrestleMania against Stone Cold Steve Austin. He brought Stone Cold Steve Austin out of retirement. Then then the following Mania, I think he tags with his best friend and wins the tag team championship. That's like the boyhood dream. Like, me and you are gonna tag team one day and we're gonna main event WrestleMania. We're gonna win the championship. Like this guy has had the most awesome storyline, and now he gets to carry around the belt that he grew up watching, the belt that he loved. He's a big Bret Hart fan, so like he's literally carrying around that belt. Like I know deep down inside he's marking out like crazy. He's marking out hard. Yeah. He's marking out like crazy. So, and then what we're seeing on actual TV is incredible. He is on top of his game. I think this is this might be the best Kevin Owens we've seen so far.
Oh, definitely.
He's just
the best Kevin Owens we've seen.
He's killing it. And the perfect thing about it too is every time a heel is a heel, they start doing things like unjustifiably. They start doing things that don't make sense just because they're bad now. But everything he's done has been justified. His main beef is my main beef with Cody Rhodes as well. You let Roman come back like nothing happened.
Right.
You're cool with the bloodline like nothing happened. And I love this because Kevin Owens was the one that was tormented the most by the bloodline. He had multiple world title matches against Roman Reigns where the bloodline came in and stopped him from winning. He had his best friend join the bloodline. He had his best friend. He had to save his best friend, come out of the bloodline. He helped his best friend beat the bloodline multiple times. And now everyone's just pretending like the bloodline's cool because they're all baby faces now. And he's the only one that pays attention, and it's incredible. So yeah, honestly, I get why they only did 4 matches, because that's gonna be that's probably gonna be a hot segment. It's gonna be a really
I hope
cool
so.
segment. I hope so. Yeah.
I hope so. We'll see. But like you said, man, I'm big on the Kevin Owens. I was feeling the Brett jacket. That Brett jacket. I gotta get that Brett jacket. I gotta find that Brett jacket. We got Monster versus the Wolf, the Werewolf. Braun Strowman and Jacob Fatu. This should be interesting. I don't dislike Braun Strowman. I kind of like Braun Strowman. A lot of people kind of be like, Braun Strowman shouldn't be getting TV time. He's not that great, blah, blah, blah. I think Braun Strowman is serviceable as a big monster guy.
Yeah.
Right? You could slot him in with somebody and he'll work. He's a decent worker. And against Jacob Fatu, I didn't even know there was a program or story. I didn't know there was a story there. I kind of maybe I missed a SmackDown or something, or I don't know. But I'm interested in this, and now Jacob Fatu is he's going to be all lights and cameras on him, kind of thing. Like, how is he going to do in a full match, big time TV? And he's kind of, you got to carry the story along with the match. Like, this is interesting for Jacob, and I think he'll be fine at it. I just didn't know there was something going on with him and Braun. I didn't know. No idea.
I think a couple weeks back on SmackDown, Braun, I forgot how it happened, but Braun came out to help LA Knight, I think, while he was getting beat down by the Bloodline. And then since then, it's just been like Jacob Fatu and Braun doing the stare off. And the crowd loves when 2 bigger dudes are staring off. We're simple people, So this is going to be a fun, car crash type match. I'm hoping, let the rules be loose. Let them go around the arena a little bit.
Exactly.
Break stuff. That's what Braun Strowman does best. Mm-hmm. Like, he's not. I agree. He's a serviceable guy in the ring and stuff, but I don't want to see him in a regular one-on-one match.
Right.
Like, I don't want to see him doing freaking arm drags and Irish whips. Like, this guy is way too big for any of that. Mm-hmm. So put him in a match with another person who's just gonna beat the crap out of each other. This should be fun. And that's another, like, one of those, like, classic Saturday night main event type matches where it's 100%. Just like 2 big dudes that don't like each other. Let's throw them in the ring and see what happens.
Exactly. Now, there's 2 people that don't like each other in this next match. The women's world champion Rhea Ripley versus Nia Jax. This should be a good one. I like what they did on Raw. I'm very high on Nia Jax. I love me some Nia Jax. And Rhea's Rhea. She's a mega star. How do you see this going, man? Like, I again, this is not these are not hard to predict, especially in your championship matches. Rhea's not dropping the title to Nia. So how do you think they continue this after Saturday night's main event, or do you think this is kind of it? Like, they close the chapter on Rhea and Nia?
I'm kind of confused by this match, to be honest. Because I think Nia Jax is officially still on SmackDown. So I don't know how they got to this match. She just randomly started showing up on Raw after she lost the belt. And I think that's a little weird that they kind of just went away from the Tiffany Stratton Nia Jax beef, and maybe they'll go back to it. But it seems like they just needed a match for this card, a women's match, and they didn't know what to do, so they were like, let's throw Rhea on there. It's probably gonna be, a successful defense for Rhea, and it's a good way to get her back into the swing of things after the whole Liv Morgan feud that lasted way too long, in my opinion. So it
was a little too long, but it turned out to be pretty.
Yeah, it was
well
good
done.
at the end, but it was a long feud.
It was a long feud. And now it's almost weird to see Rhea without going after.
I think this is what like a palate cleanser, I would say, for Rhea Ripley. Like, let's give her something new, because she had, not only was it Liv Morgan and Dom Mysterio, but it was the whole Judgment Day thing that kind of all felt like one big long story, because it was her getting betrayed by Judgment Day, not being with Finn, being with Damian Priest for a little bit as the Terror Twins or whatever they were calling themselves, and then the whole Liv, Dom, Raquel thing. Like, it lasted a very long time. So this is probably like a nice little palate cleanser. Let's get her a big win, and then we'll see what her actual next feud will be at.
True. Yeah, we shall see. And then we got your boy, Jey Uso.
My boy.
Jey Uso versus Gunther for the World Heavyweight Championship. There is no way that Jey Uso wins this championship. I just can't see it.
That's crazy,
It doesn't make any
man.
logical sense. I could in a yeah, I know. No, now I'm going to turn on him because now you're making
I'm too nice.
now I'm going to turn on him. I can't. I like Jay. Jay is mega over, and I'm still trying to figure out: is it Jay or is it the song? Is it the theme? Like, is it the whole walking through the crowd, yeeting all over the place, smacking hands with people? Like, is it that or is it Jay?
Mm.
And I don't know. I really don't know. I'm going to say 60-40 the music. I'm going to say that. Like the whole vibe of everything.
Man, that's a hot take.
I know. I'm going to say 60-40. I'm going to say Jay without all that stuff would be Jimmy. He'd be Jimmy.
Damn.
He'd be Jimmy. I mean, think about it. Jay without all the pomp and circumstance of the lights and the song and coming through the crowd. Jay is Jimmy. I mean, Jimmy ain't getting much heat or much love over on SmackDown. Like, and he's trying to turn babyface himself. I think it might take a little more time.
That's Big Jim, bro.
But I don't know, man. What do you think? Where are you with this Gunther and Jey Uso? Because now I think you're now a Jey Uso fan. Now you was just eating. What's going on?
So for longtime fans of the podcast, the hater club actually started because of Jey Uso, because I was hating on Jey Uso so much. But it's crazy because since we started the hater club segment, he hasn't been inducted into the hater club. So it's funny that I have done a complete 180, and I am now a Jey Uso fan. But I'll tell you why I'm a Jey Uso fan now, and it's because of that promo that he had, I believe, 2 weeks ago now. When Gunther called him out. Gunther called him out on everything that you basically just called him out.
Yeah.
You're about having to put main event in his name and not actually be the main event, and being the mascot of WWE and not really being taking the ring sacred, the ring is serious, all that stuff. And Jimmy, now you got me thinking about Jimmy. Jay actually, showed some range, showed what made him popular in the beginning in the first place, which was when the Bloodline story was first popping off, and Jey Uso was the right-hand man, and he was the one that had everybody cracking up. He had the range, the acting chops to show different emotions. Even before he joined the Roman, when he was fighting Roman, that was the first big deal when Roman choked him out in that I Quit match, and Jimmy came in and he had to quit in order to save Jimmy. Like, that was an awesome time. It was during the pandemic, so they were allowed to do a lot more, of the acting in the ring.
Yeah.
And I think that's kind of what made me start slowly hating Jey Uso, because after a while he stopped doing that and just became the mascot, as Gunther pointed out, and he started doing the yeet, and he started just basically relying on the yeet stuff so much to the point where every other word out of his mouth was yeet.
Yeah.
And then it doesn't help that his in-ring work is very, whatever.
Basic.
It's basic as hell. He has 3 moves, and I'm a in-ring work rate guy, whatever you want to call. I'm a Marky Mark, whatever you want to call me. But I do enjoy good wrestling, and when someone's doing 3 moves in a match, and I could tell when the next super kick is coming up, it just throws me out of the match.
Yep.
So that's why I started hating on Jey Uso, and since then I have done a 180, and I wouldn't say I'm a complete Jey Uso fan. I think a lot of it is because Cody has taken a lot of the hate that I had on Jay. So that's why Jay is getting a break now.
Jay's getting the break. Yeah.
But when it comes to this match on Saturday coming up, surprisingly,
man,
I think we're going to get a title change.
Nah, bro.
I think it's time. Man. And here's why.
Oof.
Gunther's title reign has been very okay so far. I think he needs something to light the fire under his ass a little bit.
Okay.
And he lost to Cody in Saudi or whatever for that weird big championship thing that they had. And you saw a little bit of character development from Gunther after that, where he was like starting to doubt himself a little bit. He didn't realize if he was, what he really thought he was. So I think this is the perfect opportunity to have Jey Uso get maybe even a surprise like roll up win and just really shock the world real quick. And then Gunther could just get the title back, maybe even on Monday, maybe even at the Rumble, whatever you want to do. The Rumble's only the week after. Just have Jey Uso get that title win, just because, almost like Mick Foley style title win, where he just gets it for a few days and then next Raw he loses it right away. But just to put him in the record books as that world champion, because if you don't do it now, I don't think Jey Uso is ever going to get that world title.
Do you want Jey to win the title, then lose it maybe like the night at, or a Monday or the pay-per-view, like the PLE right after? Like, don't that look weak? Don't that look whack though? To just, I don't know.
I think his character or his music or whatever you want to say that's over is over enough that he could sustain whatever pushback that he might receive because of that. Just because I think the fans even see him as, sadly, a mascot. He comes out, the crowd loves it, it's the best, it's the hypest time. But after the entrance, nobody really gives a fuck about what he's saying. nobody cares about his in-ring work. Nobody cares about what he's saying.
That's true.
So you give him the title, you get that quick, huge pop, and then, a week or so later, he loses it, but he's forever in the record books as a world champion. Because, like I said, if you don't do it now, then it's over. And I feel like they kind of would be missing out on a pretty awesome viral moment, So because Jey Uso should get that title eventually, I feel like, if he doesn't get it, but I don't know. I think it's now or never.
I just don't see Jey holding it long though. Like Jey is not to me, he's not a main eventer. I mean, we're forcing it, obviously, because of his gimmick.
His nickname.
Yeah, we're forcing it. But I don't think Jey is a main heavyweight champion contender type of guy.
Yeah. My argument there, though, would be, is Gunther even a main eventer right now? Because if you think about it, the main event program on Raw has been Punk, Rollins, Drew. Gunther hasn't really been main event.
They're doing my guy Gunther wrong. They're doing him dirty, because Gunther is way better than he's better than what they have been pushing him to be. But it seems like he's circled back to being the Gunther we knew before. Before, it almost looked like they were testing the waters to see if he did turn. He was one of the people now. It looked like they were trying to test the waters with that. I guess they were like, let's keep him. Just keep him Gunther. And I like this heel, like, talk to you, like, and then hurt your feelings all at the same time. Like, he's hurting people's feelings. He's spitting truths. Yes. Like, he's perfect in that. I think just because the roster is so top heavy right now in terms of like major storylines, is Gunther it's hard to slot him in something that is that big, or as big as a Punk right now, and a Drew and a Seth, that whole thing going on. But yeah, this is gonna be interesting. I gotta watch this Saturday night's main event just for this.
I honestly might be doing this just to convince myself that there might be a title change, so I can watch it. Like, let me make it interesting in my head, and maybe there'll be a title change.
Yeah. Now, listen, man. I want to go into. I gotta go into my showing some love. Gotta show some love. Oh wait, no, that's for you. There we go. Yes, give it up for that. This week, y'all, we are showing some love to none other than the baddest, brothers on television, the Hurt Syndicate, y'all. The Hurt Syndicate. The Hurt
We
Syndicate
hurt
right
people.
now. Yeah, give it up, give it up, give it up. The Hurt Syndicate right now is the hottest thing AEW has had in a very long time. They win the World Tag Team titles this past Wednesday. They made that. Listen, man. I was dropping. They made Private Party look like two jobbers that came out and like come on, they were throwing them all over the ring. If you looked at Benjamin and Lashley and then looked at Private Party, you would think that there's no way Private Party is going to walk out of here with the tag team titles. And they didn't. This was brave booking on Tony's part. I got to give it up to him because it was I didn't know they were going to. I didn't think they were going to drop those titles on them this soon. But I'm not mad at it because they're mega over and they're hot right now. And give them the titles. I'm just curious what they're going to do with it. Maybe some FTR action. But the Hurt Syndicate right now is dope. And here's the thing. I've been listening to a lot of other wrestling podcasts, and a lot of them have said this. The godfather of all this, Wade Keller, he said this. He said, I don't know what the Hurt Syndicate is going for. Are they trying to be faces? Aren't they supposed to be heels? But they're not doing heel things. They're going after the cheers. They're when MVP is on the mic, he's saying things that's getting him cheers. Like instead of the heat, they're not producing heat because they're so over and they're so liked and the song is catchy and all that stuff. They're not leaning into the heelness of this of all of it. So when they came out, the crowd goes crazy and all that stuff. Private Party comes out, they're cheering, but it was nothing like what Hurt Syndicate got. So I don't know where they're going with it. I think they're just supposed to be very confident, just confident dudes that beat the hell out of people.
They just hurt people.
They just hurt people. They just hurt people. Joel,
that's what they're going for. Yeah.
Where are you with the Hurt Syndicate, man? Am I?
Man.
Are you feeling it?
Oh man, I love the Hurt Syndicate, man. I love the Hurt Syndicate. I think this is exactly how they should have been used in WWE. They're used, and like you said, props to Tony Khan, because I think a lot of times he will let things play out a little bit too long, and he won't strike when the iron's hot. And this is a moment where you could tell he's like, nah, I'm striking while the iron's hot. They're over as hell. Let's give them the tag belts. It makes all the sense in the world. Private Party, I totally get why they lost as well. Like, they are still a young team, and it kind of makes it wouldn't make sense for them to beat Shelton and Bobby Lashley. Like you said, you take a look at both of those teams and you just see who the dominant teams are, size wise, skill wise, everything. So yeah, look at those guys. I mean, those guys are Adonises.
Did you really think Zay was gonna be like? Did you
and
really
shout out to Private Party? They, they're friends of the show. I hope so, because they're both from Brooklyn. Shout out to them. But I think that's the cool thing about this. It doesn't mean that it's over for them, right? Like, the only thing that's gonna make you build up a team like that is by having them lose to a team like this, and then hopefully working their way back up, and then having that big face off once again, where they might come back a little more experienced, a little more beefier, pause. If they come back, hit the gym a little bit, come back stronger, stop trying to do flashy moves, I think that's kind of the point of this story. Hopefully they lead to that eventually. It was like, you guys just weren't prepared. And I hope they follow up on it, because usually a lot of times in AEW something will happen and then we just won't hear from the previous champion for a couple months. And I kind of hate that. So I would love for them to show a backstage vignette of private party, like talking this out and be like, damn, we weren't ready. You know, that was a tough challenge. Well, we'll be back. You know, just give us something, because if not, then it was a kind of a waste of a title run. But at the end of the day, they're mad young. They're homegrown talents as well, so they'll be back. I'm sure they're not going anywhere. But yeah, shout out to the Hurt Syndicate, man. They completely came into AEW and they made a statement of we hurt people, and that is exactly what they do when they're on TV, when they're in that ring. Shelton Benjamin is, I don't know how this guy does it. I feel like he's been in his prime for 30 years at this point.
Right, exactly.
Like, he's never not been good. He's been great since the moment he stepped into the WWE ring as part of Team Angle, even all of that, World's Greatest Tag Team. Like, he's just been great. The gold standard, when he did that, when he dyed his hair gold. No matter what, you could say what you want about him. Maybe his character work and his personality might not jump off the screen, but his in-ring work is undeniable, man. This guy's been good. He's been good for 30 years, basically, and he has not lost a step. And Bobby Lashley too, man. Bobby Lashley is a freak of a human being, man. When I see him on my TV, I'm like, yo, this guy is not the same species as me.
Not human.
There's no way. There's no way. So it's awesome. And this is his first ever tag team championship in professional wrestling, which is crazy. Which is crazy. Yeah, they shouted that out on commentary. And I was like, that's a pretty cool thing, like, to get him, you know, because you would think that you would push him straight to the world title, but obviously they're busy with the whole Moxley story right now, so like it makes sense. Let's give these guys some tag team gold, and hopefully let's heat up that division again, because at one point AEW's tag team division was the reason a lot of people were tuning in.
Exactly, that was the reason we were tuning in, man. That tag team division was deep. There was a lot of a ton of teams that you could throw and slot into any main event or any mid card. It was easy. And you know, now not so much, right? There's some still left, but maybe not the ones we care about. But listen, showing love. This is the showing love segment. Hurt Syndicate. This is what they should have been when they were Hurt Business in WWE. This is what they should have been. This is how serious they should have been taken. This is the time that should have been given to this group, because they're doing big things. And now, Joel, the big question is, do they add to this group? Is there a need? Should they even do that? Should that be a thing? I think they need one more piece, one more guy, smaller guy.
Yeah, I think part of me is like, nah, because they're such a nice tight knit unit. You could tell they're all friends in real life too. But I could see the eventual Ricochet joining them, just because he could play that kind of like the guy who's nerdy, but like, we'll let you in for now, you know, type. And they still all kind of shit on him a little bit.
Exactly.
But if someone messes with him, they'll come in and beat them up, like little brother type shit.
Exactly.
And I think that would be a perfect role for Ricochet, especially with his character now, where you could tell he's a nerd who's just gone off the edge, basically. He's a loose cannon. He's walking around with scissors like, someone test me, I dare you. So,
I'm loving this Ricochet.
I'm loving Ricochet too.
And speaking of Ricochet, let's get into some AEW talk.
Yeah, man.
Let's get into it. So we got, speaking on Ricochet, this past Wednesday on Dynamite, Ricochet basically holds up your boy Prince Nana with a pair of scissors. Nana ain't dancing no more. Nana's there.
He's got the shook.
He's got the scissors right to his throat. I'm digging this crazy Ricochet. They need to lean in more. That's what they need. I want them to go full-fledged, like he lost his mind. Homeboy still wearing suits. Got the scissors in the pocket. I want him to go straight crazy. Crazy.
Yeah.
But still keep some essence of cool and like swag with it. Like still dressed in the suits and still looking presentable and all that stuff. Like I still want him to be that guy. what's your thoughts on this Ricochet, man? Like, do you like the direction that that AEW's heading in with him?
Yeah, actually, low key, I think this has been one of the best stories they've been telling since, like, I would say around Christmas time, because that's
Right.
kind of where it started with the during the Continental Classic, and they had the Hammerstein shows. That's when they first started throwing the toilet paper at him, the
Oh yeah,
fans,
yeah, yeah,
which
yeah.
is so perfect. Like, I love when organic shit turns into like a storyline, and
Mm-hmm.
that was like, I'm guessing that was organic, or maybe someone planted some toilet paper. Tony Khan might have been thinking ahead
Yeah,
and
yeah.
planted some toilet paper or something, but that was an organic. Fans just being like, we don't really care about you, Ricochet. You're shit. I'm gonna throw toilet paper at you. And he was, at the time, he was still being presented as a babyface.
Mm-hmm.
And then since then, they ran with it. The Swerve brought out the wagon of toilet paper and gave it to all the fans. And that's the perfect thing. And I don't know if a lot of fans are catching this, but the reason that he's using scissors is because scissors beats paper. And I was like, "Oh, this guy is smart, man. Like, this is a story. They're telling a story, and it's really good. And this is what AEW needs to lean into more. And I think relying on people who know how to tell these stories, like a Swerve,
Yeah.
like a Ricochet, because he does. He might not be the most charismatic guy, but I'm sure he learned a lot being in WWE
Oh
for
yeah.
7 years or whatever the hell it was. Like, he had a long tenure there. He was
Definitely.
he was definitely a Triple H guy, at least in NXT. So I'm sure he's had deep, long conversations about how to tell a story. They do all those promo classes and all that stuff
Mm-hmm.
in the Performance Center. So lean into this, man. Tell these stories. Like, now you have one of the most intriguing, if not the most intriguing version of Ricochet that we've ever seen.
Oh yeah.
He's actually a character now. And the crazy thing is, he hasn't even had a match in weeks, but
True.
he is exciting, and we want to see what he's doing. And I'm actually excited to see how he is in the ring with this character. Because is he going to be doing the same flips and all that stuff, or is it going to be more of a grounded, I'm just going to try to beat the crap out of you?
Yeah, more methodical with the
Yeah,
moves.
yeah.
Yeah.
Like, this is interesting, man. And Prince Nana, man,
Yo,
he's an MVP, man. He's
national treasure, man.
Yo,
National treasure.
the way he sold the scissor being
Yes.
to his neck, like he couldn't go anywhere. Like, bro, just take a couple steps to the left or to the right, you'll be fine. He acted like the scissors was a gun. Like,
Yeah,
he's
exactly.
like, I'm not going.
Yo, not
That
big
is
ups to Nana.
amazing. He's amazing. And then the perfect thing too is when they brought it back and Swerve was backstage with Nana. You just saw Nana was checked out. He was
Yes.
like, he wasn't being his happy, jolly self. I'm like, yo,
It was great.
the scissors triggered him, man.
Yeah, the scissors triggered them. It was great. It was great. That's
So,
one of the
yeah.
best things on AEW.
Yeah, I
right
can't
now.
wait to see. I believe they're having their match in 2 weeks. I can't wait to see that match. That's gonna be a good one. But
Now
yeah.
we got to shout out. We got to point this out. AEW has been rocking with smaller venues lately.
Yeah.
And like I say, they've been working in terms of camera angles, lighting, just overall fan reaction. They got to be a little creative in terms of how they dress up the place sometimes. Like, in some cases people were complaining about the dark wall, the black, like you could see the actual wall. Some people were talking about like it just, if you're going to be in a small place, you got to put some stuff around that kind of, I don't know, that kind of blocks the non aesthetically pleasing stuff. And I gotta give that to, yes, AEW needs to do better with their presentation overall in terms of production. I'm always on AEW about this because I feel like as a company with that much money, there is no excuse. You're not ECW back in like the 90s, like you're not them. So what's the excuse? Like, your production team should be on this. Be like, listen, we're in a very small venue. We need to make this look good. And, they got the screens around the ring now that they have kept only because they're on Max now, which is fine. But they kept it, which adds to it. But they got to dress up the place a little more. They got to do some stuff where it doesn't just look like one small hall with dark walls and stuff like that. They gotta dress it up a little, maybe put some lights, some accent lights or something like that. Something.
Yeah.
But it's been working though. AEW in these small venues have been working, man. What's your thoughts?
Yeah, this is definitely the move for them, man. Like, at least until they could prove that they could fill out bigger rooms again. Like, go with this intimate vibe. I think I said this a couple episodes back too. Like portray yourself as the alternative. Don't try
Right.
to be WWE light and then have a half empty room.
Yep.
Like present yourself as that intimate, maybe a little darker. Maybe you're gonna see blood here. You're gonna see incredible in-ring action. Like show all the things that you're better at. And maybe that is filling out a small room of your dedicated core fans that are going to cheer any single person who comes out, and not one of those bigger crowds that when someone who is not like a known name star, like a Private Party, for example, they're not going to get cheered in one of those bigger buildings because they're not as known as like Bobby Lashley. But when you have an intimate crowd like this, it's going to be people who most likely have been AEW fans for a while, know who the characters are, know what the stories are, and it just makes everything seem more like almost like a pop-up concert or something, like something that you just hear about and you're like, it seems cooler. It's like an underground thing, like, oh shit, I'm going to this random wrestling show and it's in this cool little venue, instead of being like, oh yeah, I'm going to this half-empty wrestling show that's trying to be WWE, right? And the cool thing I think about this too is that you can see that they're playing around a lot with getting into the crowds more, since the crowds are more intimate and more rowdy a little bit. So like in the beginning of this episode of Dynamite, we had it was like a 20-minute brawl between Omega and Ospreay and the Don Callis family. And it was a cool segment. It went on a little too long for me, but it was a cool segment. And they did the double moonsaults off of these crazy structures that they had set up. So you could tell they're definitely thinking about like, how can we play around with these smaller venues? How can we jump off of balconies and do these things that you wouldn't be able to do in an arena, right? Yeah. So those are the cool things. And I do agree with you that they need to find a way to make it more, pomp and circumstances and show all these fun things and cover up anything that looks like it's part of the arena. It should all look like AEW stuff, at least for the time there. And I think they'll learn as they keep going. But yeah, man, I definitely love the smaller crowds, man. It just makes sense. It makes so much sense. It comes across better on TV. The crowds sound louder. The crowd looks rowdier. People are fucking cheering, standing up, going crazy for everything that happens. It fits better for them. And I think this is a lesson that they had to learn the hard way. Right. But now going forward, just book these rooms, man. Fill them out.
Book them, man. And they I think they got a bunch of them on deck for these shows, which again, it's working. They can't fill these giant arenas like WWE is, for Christ's sake. So just don't try. Don't do it. It's fine. It's fine.
Exactly.
Now, anything on Dynamite that caught your attention?
I will say this: AEW Dynamite was a solid show,
right?
But unfortunately, I got some inductees into the hater club.
This is the haters club.
I got some. Unfortunately.
Let's get into it, y'all. We gotta get into it. We gotta get into this haters club.
I hate to say it. You hate to see it sometimes, You hate to say it. Listen, I get it. Listen, for those who don't know, I hate because I love. So when you get inducted to the hater club, and the hater club is only one person right now, but we're a growing fan base. We're getting bigger by the week. But at the moment, it's just me. But when you get inducted to the hater club, it's not a me hating you for no reason. It's because I know you could do better. I know your character could do better. And it's just a purely kayfabe thing. I hate the character that you're portraying at the moment. And sadly, like I said, AEW Dynamite was a solid show, but there was 2 moments between 2 different people. So this is the first time ever 2-person inductee into the hater club. Oh, number 1, Jeff Jarrett.
Wow.
Double J, slap nuts. I'm sorry, man. You are hater club hater of the week. I don't know how to call it. But yeah, man, I'm not digging this Jeff 57-year-old Double J trying to be world champ storyline. I'm not digging it at all. They need to pivot, in my opinion. sure, the crowds are cheering, but you could tell they're only doing those segments in Tennessee because he's from there.
Yeah,
So the crowd
right.
will cheer for him there.
Yep.
But it's not working for me. And it seems like a bad omen to me as a company to have someone who is 57 years old trying to push themselves to the world title picture. Even if it's a kayfabe, it's a storyline, it just doesn't sit right with you guys calling yourselves the alternative to WWE, when for so long that was a big complaint with WWE, how no matter what, come Mania season, the old timers would come around and take the spots from all the young guys.
All the spots. Yep.
And we would complain about it. The fans would complain about it. But now you're doing the same with Jeff Jarrett. I'm sorry, Jeff Jarrett. Jeff Jarrett has never been as over as he thinks he is. Like, he has never been the guy. The only time he was the guy was when he had his own company and he made himself the guy. Like, that is, I'm sorry. I know Tony Khan is a WCW mark. I know he loves WCW, so he's trying to give Jeff Jarrett his last run, just like he gave Sting. But Jeff Jarrett and Sting do not compare.
No, there's no comparison.
And I like what Jeff Jarrett was doing before. His in-ring work is still good.
Mm-hmm. When he looks great. He's in good shape.
He looks great. He's in great shape. When he was in the Owen Hart tournament, that was fun. That was a fun story. His tag team with Jay Lethal, that was fun. But I don't want him anywhere near the world title. And now the fact that it's being justified by like the whole interaction with Claudio coming out, which means we're probably going to get a Jon Moxley versus Jeff Jarrett match in 2025. I don't want to see that.
That's insane.
I do not want to see that. And it'll probably be a good match. It probably will be a good match. And if MJF and Jeff Jarrett end up having a match, I'm sure it'll be a good match too. I just wish it wasn't revolved around the world title. It dwindles the world title, in my opinion. And right now the world title is already in a weird position because we haven't seen it. Yep. We haven't seen it in months. It's been in a suitcase for months. And now you're telling me that Jeff Jarrett, of all people, is the one stepping up saying he wants a world title
to play. Yeah. I agree. Listen, that's a good pick. And I was trying my hardest because I'm not gonna lie, I was a little Jeff Jarrett mark back in the early TNA days. You were. I love the guitar, hitting people randomly, the slap nuts.
You like the strut?
Yeah, there's a strut, the top of the mountain, the king of the mountain, or whatever he called himself. Like I was digging that for a quick second. Jeff looks great. He looks like he's in good shape. He looks like he probably could still go. I think the matches that whatever he has, either with MJF and Moxley and Claudio, will be decent. You're right. It's 2025, and Jeff Jarrett is taking precious television real estate,
a lot too,
from someone that they could easily push in that,
or like, just give us a second women's match,
or a second women's match.
Like, they had a 17-minute segment, MJF and Double J, last week's episode, and it was a terrible segment. We forgot to mention it on the pod, but it was such a bad segment. And they, instead of giving that to another women match, instead of developing anyone else, you give Jeff Jarrett 17 minutes of TV time.
17
And then this week, they do the same. He comes out, does another promo. It was quicker this time.
Yeah.
But then you have him get interrupted by Claudio. So you're telling me we're going to actually have Jeff Jarrett versus Claudio, which on paper, I'm like, cool, that's a fun match. But if Jeff Jarrett ends up being Claudio Castagnoli in 2025, that is literally something that we would have killed Vince McMahon for.
Oh, yeah.
A couple years ago.
Yeah.
When everybody was hyped for Cesaro and wanted Cesaro to get a push, and he was not getting any push anywhere, people would have freaking lost their minds if Jeff Jarrett came in and beat him. But I have a feeling that's where we're headed, because he made the stipulation, if he wins, he gets a title match against Mox, and I think we're going to eventually get that title match against Mox. So I'm just preparing myself for the eventual Claudio loss to Jeff Jarrett. That's going to be disturbing. But I did have a second person. First time ever.
This is a twofer. What's this one?
Sadly, it is another AEW wrestler, superstar, whatever you want to call him. And it's another old guy.
Oh.
Adam Copeland, man. Cope. Artist formerly known as Edge, then formerly known as Adam Copeland, now known as Cope.
Oh man,
I'm sorry, bro. This story with you and the Death Riders is not working for me.
not working.
And sadly, another thing I just can't see why. What's the booking? You beat Pac the bastard clean. He has a crew that comes in and messes up every match. Why
Right.
didn't they do that?
Why did they? Yeah.
Why'd you let Pac? We haven't seen Pac in a minute too. Like he's been hanging around, but we haven't seen him in ring in a match in a minute, and you let him lose to old man Adam Copeland. I feel like AEW, when it comes to these old guys, kind of loses the plot a little bit. When they kind of go for that pop of like, let's get that nostalgia pop over trying to build our stars. And I'm blaming Copeland here, because Copeland came in with this whole, I want to face all the fresh guys I've never faced before. And then since he's done that, he's beat every single one of them. Yeah. He's literally Hulk Hogan right now. He's just like, that doesn't work for me, brother. Yeah. He's pitted everybody. He literally beat Malachi Black after he broke his leg. like there is no stopping this guy. Yeah. And I don't know. It's just not working for me. I know he's popular. He gets the pop. The crowd loves him still.
I mean, but is he really that popular anymore? Like, he's not getting these huge reactions.
No,
he's not. Even in the smaller crowds, you could kind of hear like, it's like, oh yeah, it's Edge. I think, you know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah, I think I'm ready for a heel change, like a heel turn for me.
I need either a heel change or him to go away. Yeah. It's got to be one of them, because the Cope thing sucks. I'm not calling you Cope. This is the best you can think of as a professional wrestler for like over 20 years. Is let's Cope. Let's go with Cope. Like, let's go with Cope. That's the best thing. If I'm in the back, if I'm Tony Khan, Tony's got to stop. He's got to get off his knees with these guys, man. Like, seriously, he has to, because he's getting played. Like, you let Jeff Jarrett come into your office and pitch that he's going to go on a John Cena retirement tour, basically. You have Adam Copeland come into your office and pitch that he's going to be the savior of AEW and defeat Moxley and all this stuff. And by the way, I'm going to change my name to Cope. Like, come on, man. And then, like you said, Joel, give us another women's match. There's about 50 women in that back room, and only 2 of them will get the match every week.
Yeah, how do you not, like, Megan Bain had a big debut last week.
My new boo thing, Megan Bain, yes. Megan Bain. Picks up the Megan Bain.
Yes. Don't look at her Instagram likes.
Listen, that ain't us. That's another on the mark.
Likes everything.
That's another on the mark. That's not
man. But yo, you had this great debut. It went kind of viral. You know, a lot of people were like, "Who's this chick?" All this. She's a great looking girl. She's big. She works really good in the ring too. Yeah. She has a nice look. Presentation is awesome. She came out looking like freaking Wonder Woman goddess type.
A goddess.
And then you don't have her on the next week's episode. You don't have her. They had like a promo package for her.
They had a promo package,
but it was like 2 seconds long, and it was like footage from Stardom in Japan. Like, nah, man, have her just do a squash match.
Come on,
you don't have a local jobber you could find and just have her a quick squash match just to show, like, yeah, this is the next big thing, you know, like,
exactly.
Nah, let's give that time to Jeff Jarrett instead. and let's let Adam Copeland look. Yo, he was looking, I'm sorry, the match he was looking out of breath, gas. I don't know, man.
Listen, man.
He was looking gas in that match.
He's old, bro, and there's nothing
his hair,
the hair
is looking funny.
Shave it.
He's looking like he's in that weird in between, like he's trying to grow it out, but he hasn't really committed fully yet. So I don't know, man. And I still think he's good in the ring. I still think he has a lot to give to the
yes.
He has a lot to give to the industry. He's great character work. He knows what he's doing. He is a million-time champion of wherever he's been. Mm-hmm. But just need something different, man. Just maybe a heel turn. I would love to see another tag team run with Christian, you know. Quick little heel tag team run together. That'd be awesome. Maybe something like that. But right now, the story of him trying to save AEW when he wasn't even one of the original AEW guys, it doesn't make sense.
Doesn't make sense, man. That's what I'm saying, Joel. Like, it just ain't working for me, man. And to be honest, I was never a major Edge
Me
fan. Like I
neither.
enjoyed him, but I wasn't the guy that was like, oh, I gotta make sure I gotta watch this Edge match tonight. Like I never did that. Like, and now the fact that he's past his prime and he's trying to do this all over again and be the guy. I mean, that's what you got Kenny Omega for. That's what you got Will Ospreay for. That's what you got all these guys in the back, these young lions in the back that can basically be the guy for your company. That's what they're there for. Kenny Omega should be the one who's saving AEW from the dastardly John Moxley and the Death Riders. Like, it should be Kenny.
I will give them props though.
It should be Kenny.
Because Ospreay did at least acknowledge it during his promo. He was like that he promised Darby that he was going to help take down the Death Riders, but then the Don Callis family's in the way, so I got to take them out first, whatever. And I'm like, okay, at least you acknowledge, because in my opinion, Ospreay and Omega are the main characters of AEW. They should be, at least, right? Like, they're like when you're watching like a Saved by the Bell, there's Zach and what's the other guy's name?
Slater. Zach Slater.
There you go.
Yeah, Zach and Slater.
They should be the Zach and Slater of AEW. So it makes sense for them to be like, oh man, we got to go get this guy who's been terrorizing our locker room for the last months, and you're back now. Finally, I have someone up to par to my level that we could take this guy down. But they're like, but we got to deal with these Don Callis fools first, which kind of makes sense if you think about like old school, like Power Ranger style booking, where it's like, we got to beat this little guy first before we get to the big guy. Yes. So I'm hoping that's where we end up eventually. But this whole Copeland thing is like, oh man, I don't need to see this right now.
Are these inductees into the Haters Club?
Yeah, officially. These Adam Copeland, I'm sorry, and Double J, Jeff
Jarrett, man.
Remember, I hate because I love. Because I love. I want you guys to do better,
and you want to see them do better.
Exactly.
And I don't know if they will. That's just they might stay in the Hall of Fame of being inducted.
I have a feeling they're in the Chris Jericho path of just being there too long,
and just collecting a paycheck, man. Yo, my God, man! Like Tony needs a bad guy in that back. Like, he needs the guy who's enforcing. Who you can't get to Tony unless you go through this guy. Like Tony's on top. No one could just go up to Vince, right? Yeah. Like, you had to be somebody to go up to Vince. You had to be Taker. You had to be Shawn. You had to be Brett. You had to be Stone Cold. You had to be Rock. You had to be you had to be somebody to get just straight to Vince. Like, you can't be anybody just getting to Tony, right? Like, I'm not, guys, listen. It sounds like a good idea, but that's not what I want to do this week.
Yeah.
Plus, Tony, get your damn stars on the show, not in backstage and shit. Like, I don't want to see them in the back. I want to see Mercedes Moné in a match in your ring, for Christ's sake.
She has 4 belts and she hasn't been on actual TV, like in the ring, to show off the 4 belts. Like, and she's looking great, man.
Looking great.
As soon as she's on the TV, I'm like, I'm paying attention.
You're paying.
so
she needs to be on television for that exact
you're right.
reason in the arena. She's like the highest paid woman in wrestling, and she's barely working. Like,
she's working for other companies.
She's working for other companies. Come on, man. Same thing with MJF needs a complete redirection. He's lost all the spark that I've actually cared about back in he's just kind of coasting. I don't know what's going on with him. Phoning it in. I don't know if there's someone in the back that's like Tony, like, we need MJF is kind of, that he ain't getting the same react. Like, we need to do something with him. Like, Tony can't be the one and only. It doesn't work that way. He needs some voices that's going to kind of help direct where this company is going.
Yeah.
And right now it's just kind of like on a ship, just kind of coasting. Like, there's nothing to it.
That's exactly, you're so right. Like, because I wouldn't say AEW has been bad necessarily.
No, wouldn't say bad.
Especially, like, I would say since the Continental Classic, like, it's been pretty banger shows,
Right.
But it's just, like you said, it's been coasting. And there's nothing like, there's no one grabbing the brass ring, right? There's no one going for it. Like, it just seems like everyone's just kind of coasting. And even in the storyline, which is a bad sign, like, no one is going after Moxley anymore. They're just like, besides Copeland, And like, nobody wants to see that.
Yeah, man. Well, listen, man. We'll. I still have hope in AEW.
Yeah,
but sometimes they really make me. I struggle, Joel, to keep that hope alive. Like I really struggle. I really struggle with it because they end up 1 week they're hot and they do everything right. Next week, mics ain't working. You can't hear the back you can't hear the backstage promo. Then the storylines don't match up. Why are you doing this and that and that? Like, and someone brought up something very interesting before we go. Why did Kenny Omega apologize to Will Ospreay when Will is the one that tried to kill him? Like why would Kenny apologize to him? Will didn't even say apology. He didn't even apologize when he was with the Callis family and all that stuff was going down with him and Kenny. Like Will didn't apologize, but Kenny sits up there and is like, "Listen, man, I'm sorry. Sorry for what? Like Will is the one who joined the group and that tried to take you out."
Yeah,
but like there's little things, story and logistics, and
it's like little
in the
inconsistencies.
story just don't make no sense. There needs to be somebody in the back that keeps up with all the storylines.
Yeah,
and their sole job is to quality control every script or everything you're saying
exactly
to make sure it makes sense.
You're so right.
I don't think they got that.
You're so right. Also, too, with the whole, there's another thing that AEW needs to get better at, and I've seen them do it a couple times, but they don't do it consistently enough. And I think that's probably the biggest issue with AEW is just not a lack of consistency. But the reason why Kenny and Will Ospreay hate each other should have been shown to us more, because not everyone follows everything. I know Tony Khan is a wrestling savant brain that could tell you the exact date of when, I don't know, Hillbilly Jim won this title. Like he has that type of brain, almost like the administrator here, Lewis, could tell you when The Rock won, blah 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 blah. Anything that has to do with The Rock, Lewis could tell you with the exact date, date, number, episode of SmackDown it was, and everything.
How many people he eliminated from the seventh person that got eliminated. Like he knows all that. That's the administrator.
So I know Tony Khan has that type of brain, but not everyone that's watching has that type of brain. So like, if you've been watching AEW and New Japan for a long time, you know that Kenny Omega and Will Ospreay had these incredible matches, banger matches, some of the best matches I've ever seen in my life. And they went to war. They beat the crap out of each other. And then Will Ospreay joined the Don Callis family, hit him with the screwdriver, did all of that. But that happened almost 2-3 years ago now at this point. So you have a brand new audience. You gotta pretend, even if you don't think you do, you gotta pretend you have a brand new audience.
Right.
So like we should have had some type of promo package explaining what this beef was before the Will Ospreay is gonna call out Kenny Omega graphic went up. Because there was none of that leading up to this. And then we're just all supposed to assume. And then, like you said, then we would have known that it didn't make sense that Kenny apologized. And maybe that's part of the story they're trying to tell. Maybe in the future it's going to end up being like, yo, why did I apologize? You know, whatever it ends up being. But right now, there's no context to it. It's just two dudes that are awesome at what they do. But we don't know why they're beefing. And we don't know why there was ever a beef. Because I wasn't watching AEW 2 years ago, for example. You know? So like, come on, guys. Like just little things like this would make people realize, and new fans who are tuning in, understand what's going on. It's just like, you're giving your fans a little too much credit at this
point.
Work
with me, AW, please. Work with me. Jeez, man. Like, listen. That's AEW for you, man.
I feel bad because I feel like we always end up shitting on AEW, but it's not.
That's not even. We don't even mean the goal.
We hate because we love. We want you guys to do better.
We want you to do better, man.
And it's funny because all this shit I talk about AEW, I still prefer them weekly to WWE style, just because I like the in-ring work more and all of that. But it's just like little things that I would just hope that you guys keep improving on eventually. Because, you know, the excuse before was like, oh, they're only a 5-year company. But now it's like, yo, y'all 5 year going on 6. Like, we can't keep saying that until you're 10 years down the road, and they're only a 10-year-old company, you know.
You got a new TV deal. There's no excuse, man. Y'all should know what y'all are doing, and I just feel like sometimes it feels like amateur hour. Like they feel like the little indie production that's trying to be WWE. Meanwhile, WWE is selling out every arena that they're in, and AEW is not. They had to move to smaller venues and all that stuff. Like it just feels sometimes small time for a company that has the means to not feel small time. So it's just they have the means, they have the talent. I would question the minds in the back, but they have everything else. And you look at a product like that and you would think it's struggling financially, or you think it's like going down, someone's about to hostile takeover, but no, it's just they can't get out their own way. Like there's nobody doing the work, like to make sure the quality control, like what's going on here? AEW, but I still love you, AEW. I'm gonna be watching every week.
We're Marks. We're gonna watch everything.
We're watching. We're gonna be watching every week. To end this on a good note, we had a return. Corey Graves is back, and he's back on television, but not on Raw, not on SmackDown, not on AEW television. He's back in NXT, 3-man booth. He said, for lack of a better words, in this quote, "I'm where I'm supposed to be," and whatever the hell that means, that's either meaning WWE sweetened up that. Sprinkle a couple zeros in this.
Maybe.
Or he just looked at the landscape and said, I don't know if I want to go anywhere, though, or any one of those places. But, it's good to hear his voice again. Some would say it's an emotion. Some would say, no, it's not. They just had to shuffle things around. But I don't know. I like Corey Graves, and it would have been interesting to hear him on an AEW or something like that. They could actually use him on an AEW in terms of knocking the hell out of Tony Schiavone, get him out of there. My God, Tony, just again, another guy just sitting there, just my goodness.
Collecting a
collecting a check, saying stuff that's wrong. Excalibur has to fix what he's saying because he's... Come on, man. Tony, listen, Tony needs to be on the hate. I might do a segment on the Haters Club next week.
He's definitely going to be a
He's inching on that. He's about to become the Duck B.
He might be the mascot of the Hater Club.
Tony Schiavone. My God, man. What are you doing? But yeah, Corey Graves is back. How do you feel about that, man? Do we care? Like, was this blown out of proportion?
I mean, it was blown out of proportion probably, but also whenever someone, crashes out on X, Twitter, whatever you want to call it, is going to be in the news, especially someone who is the voice of your shows, right? Sure. It makes sense. So I do wonder what he thought was going to happen, and maybe he got what he wanted at the end of the day. Maybe he got a little more cheddar. Maybe he got... maybe he got promised
some incentives. Promises,
maybe you'll be on the main roster in a couple months. Just wait it out. You never know what happens backstage, but it's interesting. I do feel like he still, just like that statement, "I am where I belong," or whatever it was that he said. It kind of feels like he's still a little salty about the situation. Mm-hmm. But like you said, he probably looked at the landscape and was like, "Yo, I'm getting paid pretty good here."
Yeah, right.
I don't have to travel as much now. I'm literally just going to Orlando and back, and maybe the one-off shows where NXT goes touring. Mm-hmm. But I mean, that's not a bad gig, And yeah, it's a little awkward, the 3-man booth, but I think they're gonna work it out. It wasn't bad. Like I watched NXT, it wasn't bad. Good. Bick and Booker have amazing chemistry, so just adding a third is not the worst. But yeah, I mean, I wonder if he's trying to make a comeback into the ring, and maybe that's why he was like trying to crash out or something. Because I know he did get a couple months back. He got cleared for in-ring work, and maybe WWE's like, "Yo, we don't got nothing for you when it comes to in-ring work." Yeah,
bro. Stay behind the booth, bro. No one wants to see you in the ring, and you weren't even that good when you were in the ring, Corey. Like no
skinny jeans.
No.
Wrestling in the skinny jeans.
Yeah, come on, bro. You
Yeah.
found your bag. You found your voice. You're a commentator, and you're good at it. Stick to it. You do not need to be in the ring because all that's going to happen is you're going to get exposed, and you're going to end up back at the scratch. You're going to end up in the line, back of the line. No one's going to pay attention to him. And nah, I don't want to see that.
I gotta agree with that. But yeah, I mean, I'm glad to see him back. I'm glad he's not out of a job, and it seems like, for what it's worth, everyone worked it out, and we'll see what happens if there's any other like turmoil in the future. But for now, at least, we got Corey Graves back on TV.
Yeah, man.
Not a bad thing.
Not a bad thing, y'all. Listen, thank you for joining us on episode 79 of On the Mark Wrestling Podcast. I'm your boy Kayode, joined by none other than Streaming Joe himself. Lewis will be back hopefully next week because we'll probably get into some Royal Rumble talk because that's starting to shape up. Rumble's in 2 weeks, I think. 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Rumble's in 2 weeks, and that's like the official road to WrestleMania. And this Rumble's shaping up to be
banger,
stacked. I can't even guess where they're going to go with this in terms of winners. Like I couldn't even guess. Yeah. And that's going to be the joy of it. So we'll talk, and then of course the administrator himself, he'll have some facts for us, some stuff I didn't even think of until I started listening to him talk. Like I was like Lewis, I never even thought about that, but it makes sense. It makes sense, y'all. But thank you for joining us. This is episode 79 of On the Mark Wrestling Podcast. Peace.
Yeet.